Part 119. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1181. Chapter 1181. Mommy, where is my daddy? Gonkinli looked down at her daughter and said to her, do you remember what mommy told you before? It's time for you to call someone. Xiao Yuer blinked her eyes and felt a little shy when she saw the godmother and the handsome godfather in front of her, who were even more beautiful than in the photos, as well as the little brother and little sister who were a little taller than herself. The appearance of these four people is both strange and familiar to Xiao Yuer, because she had seen a lot of photos of the four of them, and this was her first time seeing real people. However, when she saw her mother's encouraging eyes, she bravely stepped forward and called, Godfather, Godmother, Brother Qingfeng is as good as sister. Hearing the soft and waxy sound of a baby girl, Ye Wei was overflowing with motherly love and squatted down to be at her level. Seeing the delicate little face like a doll, Ye Wei couldn't help but praise, is your name Yuer? It's so cute. Children who grew up in foreign countries have more cheerful personalities. Xiao Yuer smiled generously when she heard others compliment her. Xiao Yuer has seen the photos of her little brother and sister, so she recognizes them. Yes family has no idea about Gongkinyu at all. Both Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo have very little memory of Li Yulai, and they have no idea about this little sister. They all need to be introduced. Ye Youwei pulled his two children over, Feng Zhiruo, this is your godmother's daughter, and she will be your sister from now on, do you understand? Ye Qingfeng was naturally happy to see such a beautiful little sister appear. He stretched out his hand to Xiao Yuer with the courtesy of a young gentleman he learned in kindergarten, hello, Sister Yuer. Children have all seen how adults shake hands when they meet. They learn how to shake hands every night, and friendship is achieved. Shy Ye Zhiruo saw that her brother accepted this little sister. She slowly reached out and grabbed Xiao Yuer's other hand, smiled at Xiao Yuer, and two sweet smiles appeared on both sides of her cheeks. Sweet dimples, sister. Seeing the picture of the three children living in harmony, the three parents were very satisfied. Especially Ye Wei, she sighed, if Nuan was still here, they should be so in love with each other. After many years, she still couldn't forget about her third daughter. Mo Xiang Nuan only lived in this world for less than a month, but it has left an indelible mark on Ye Wei, a mother, for the rest of her life. Papa Papier. Gongkinli clapped her hands, and there was a joyful atmosphere when she appeared. Hey, why don't you recognize your relatives here? Xiao Yuer and I have come back all the way, and you two who came to pick us up at the airport are not going to treat us to a big meal. Sure enough, she started blackmailing. Yezikin said domineeringly, you pick the location and I'll pay. Brother Chen is as rich and generous as ever, and it's fun to go around. Gongkinli habitually held hands with her daughter. Ye Qingfeng originally wanted to play with his new sister, but there were people coming and going at the airport. Ye Wei forcefully dragged her restless son to her side, Feng I'll be angry if you run away again. Yes, only threat was very effective, but Ye Qingfeng's nature was hard to change. Even holding hands he would turn around and run over to talk to his sister. As for the night, as a daughter-in-law, Yezikin was of course reluctant to let her little princess suffer while walking in a crowded place, so she directly picked up Ye Zhiruo. Ye Zhiruo skillfully put her arms around her father's neck and kissed his handsome face. Thank you, Daddy. When Xiao Yuer saw this scene, she suddenly asked a very innocent question, Mommy, where is my daddy? This is a good question, applause. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1182. Chapter 1182. I picked up Xiao Yuer. Gongkinli suddenly heard such an irritating question when she was leading her daughter away. She almost fell forward. Daddy, you didn't hug me. Xiao Yuer used familiar words to form unfamiliar meanings. What she meant was, she doesn't have a daddy, and she has never been hugged by her daddy. Ye Wei blinked hard at Yezikin. Yezikin, who was holding his daughter, turned around and walked to Xiao Yuer. He picked her up easily and said, "Daddy, I'll hold you." The sight suddenly became higher. Xiao Yuer liked this feeling very much. Yezhiruo touched her father's ear very sensibly, leaned close to his ear and said, "Daddy, give your sister a hug, and Zhiruo plays with your godmother." Yezikin understood what his daughter meant and immediately put her down. Yezhiruo walked up to Gongqinli step by step, and the first thing he said to her was, "Thank you, godmother." This made Gongqinli confused. Why did Xiao Zhiruo suddenly say thank you to me? Yezhiruo answered obediently, "My godmother gave me a lot of gifts, so thank you." As soon as Ye Qingfeng heard the word gift, he ran over and asked politely, "Godmother, do you still have my robot?" Suddenly surrounded by two such cute children, Gongqinli was filled with joy and proudly agreed to the promise. "Yes, yes, whatever he comes up with from now on, your godmother will buy you." 3 adults and 3 children, no matter who takes them, they will not be lonely. Xiao Yuer lay on Yezikin's shoulder for a while and then reached out to her mother for a hug. Xiao Yuer returned to Gongqinli, and Yezhiruo returned to Yezikin's arms. Ye Wei and Gongqinli walked in front so they could talk, while Yezikin walked behind with Yezhiruo in his arms. Yezhiruo was very close to Ye 11 and whispered in his ear, "Daddy, if Zhiruo has 1 father and 2 godfathers, how many sisters do you have?" Daddy doesn't know this either. Yezikin's voice was gentle and calm when talking to his daughter. Yezhiruo lay on Yezikin's shoulder, looking a little aggrieved. "My sister is so pitiful. She said she didn't have daddy to hug her." Yezikin patted her daughter's back gently and comforted her, "It will happen." 4 years later, Gongqinli finally returned to China and brought back a 3-year-old daughter without any fuss. Although it is not yet certain whether it is her biological child, everything about the timing is too coincidental. Looking at her attitude, Gongqinli is not the kind of person who loves any child. There is one more thing. Yezikin remembered that Ye Wei would occasionally pull out childhood photos from the photo album, and would often pull him to look at them together. Yezikin has a photographic memory. He remembers Gongqinli's appearance as a child. Speaking of which, Xiao Yuer's eyebrows are somewhat similar to Gongqinli's when she was a child. In all likelihood, he is her biological child. But if it is her biological child, who is the father of the child? According to Xiao Yuer's age and time, the child should have been born around the time Gongqinli went abroad 4 years ago. The child's biological father, the first person that came to mind for Yezikin and Ye Wei was of course Nangong Luo. That's not right. If the two had a relationship, how could Nangong Luo be willing to let Gongqinli leave based on his deep love for Gongqinli? This matter becomes more complicated the deeper you think about it. Ye Wei was also trying his best to get Gongqinli out of his words, but he just looked at Xiao Yuer beside him, so he couldn't say something too obvious. "Lu Li, is Yuer the child of you?" I picked it up. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1183. Chapter 1183. Her father is. Picked it up. Hearing this answer, I had a question mark on his head. Yuer is not your biological daughter, but your adopted child. Alas. Gongqinli lowered her eyes, sighed deeply, and asked, "Whether I am married or not, is it possible that I can bear children on my own?" Gongqinli looked at her seriously, not even looking like he was joking. This made Ye Wei confused. "I think Yuer looks quite similar to you when you were a child." Gongqinli spread her hands calmly. "Isn't it just because of the resemblance that I raised the child? Otherwise, I deliberately caused trouble for myself to raise the child. This confused question made Ye Weiwei's brain become clear and rational. Lu Li, you are lying. Ye Weiwei was able to make such an accurate conclusion in one sentence. As expected, Gong Qinli put away the hypocritical expression just now. Ye Weiwei didn't react for a moment, but after hearing a few words from Gong Qinli, she realized that something was wrong. Gong Qinli works in the foreign serious crime team. She is very busy when doing tasks. Maybe she can't take care of herself. How could she find a child to raise because of her kindness? Although the child is cute, for Gong Qinli, who is unmarried and busy at work, it is like a stumbling block. Even if she is kind-hearted for a while, she will choose to send the child to an orphanage in the future. From what Gong Qinli chattered to her, she could tell that this child had been with her since he was born. For a person like Gong Qinli, who is most afraid of getting into trouble, to be so attached to a troublemaker is a reason that cannot be abandoned. Gong Qinli had just gone abroad and it was impossible to meet anyone who would be unforgettable to her. This could only mean that the child was related to herself. So, Yu is your child, right? Gong Qinli laughed. Of course, Yu is my daughter. Ye Weiwei stared into her eyes tightly and repeated, you know what I'm asking. Gong Qinli stopped acting and admitted directly and clearly, okay, I admit that Yu is my daughter who was born in 10 months of pregnancy. Ye Weiwei asked curiously, who is her father? Gong Qinli answered perfunctorily, I don't know. Lu Li. Gong Qinli curled her lips aggrievedly, he is a heartless man. This kind of thing should not be taken carelessly. Ye Weiwei reminded her not to try to muddle through. Other things were easy to talk about, but now that a 3-year-old girl was standing in front of her, she had to think more about her friends. Don't change the subject on purpose, I'll just ask you one question, if I guess right, just nod okay. Gong Qinli held up a cup of warm tea to calm down her shock. Ye Weiwei hesitated for a while and suddenly asked, is it Brother Nangong? Cough cough cough. Gong Qinli, who had just drank a pack of warm tea, was not prepared and spit out a mouthful of water. Taking one look at her current expression, you can confirm the answer without asking any more questions. Kaya only wanted to confirm again, is it true? Gong Qinli nodded, yeah. Then what are you going to do next? You brought Yu back this time just to let everyone know that you have a daughter, right? Yes, even though I had no worries about food and clothing when I took Yu abroad, I was still lonely. After all, the Gong family is the only one here. I should have brought her back long ago. Then how do you explain Yu's identity to everyone? Just say she is me. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1184. Chapter 1184, Concealing Xiao Yu's Identity. Let me tell you frankly that Gong Qinyu is the daughter of my Gong Qinli. Then they will definitely ask who Yu's father is, and how will you answer? There are many answers to this question. For example, her father is my ex-boyfriend, or a one-night stand with a running mate. Or maybe the grass on her father's grave is already 1 meter high. Gong Qinli gestured as she spoke, raising her arms. In mid-air, it seemed like that was really happening. Ye Yuyi held his forehead and said, you really haven't changed at all. Gong Qinli raised her head and asked, what do you mean has not changed? It's just as unreliable. Even if it is an excuse for an ex-boyfriend, according to the character of the Gong family, they will dig deep and dig deep to find the so-called ex-boyfriend. What if it was a one-night stand? I'm afraid my legs will be broken. As for the grave grass, forget it, it's not fun to curse Nangong Luo like this. The two friends gathered together for a while. On the other side, 3 children were already playing around Yezikan. Children want friendships that are pure and easy to establish. In addition, the relationship between their parents is so good that they feel like real sisters or brothers. Ye Qingfeng has already enthusiastically invited Xiao Yu'er, come and stay at my house, and I'll take you to play with my robot toys. Yasuhiro also agreed very much. Yes, when Yu comes to our house, I will give you a bear doll. Xiao Yu looked back at Gong Qinli and seemed to be hesitating. Because Gong Qinli is a police officer, she will not completely expose her children to the public. She is in a foreign country. She is cautious in interacting with people and has few friends, so the only people Xiao Yu knows are her classmates in kindergarten. I just met my little brother and sister who are from the east like me today, and the feeling is different. However, Xiao Yu is a very sensible child. Even though she is still young, she knows that she cannot directly make the decision on many things. Mommy, go to my brother and sister's house. She is not yet fully able to formulate long sentences of polite language, but the meaning is clearly expressed. She can go to Yejia when asking Gong Qinli. How could Gong Qinli have the heart to refuse her daughter with such a lovable appearance? Besides, she had to do some things before taking Xiao Yu home, so it would be a good idea to leave Xiao Yu at Yes house temporarily. After making up her mind, Gong Qinli walked to her daughter. While agreeing to her request, she also asked in a questioning tone, Mommy still has some work to deal with. Yu will go to her godfather and godmother's house to meet her brother in the past few days. Sister, can I play? Xiao Yu immediately hugged her arm, seemingly unwilling. When she first arrived in this strange environment, she still couldn't accept that her mother was not around. Today, Mommy will take you to your brother and sister's house. Mommy will go out to work during the day tomorrow. Only by working to make money can you buy a beautiful dress for you. Okay. Xiao Yu understood it when she said it like this, clapped her hands happily and said, okay. Although Gong Qinli is raising the child alone, you can see from Xiao Yu's behavior that Gong Qinli has raised her well. Are you going back to the palace? Yes, I have to give them a vaccination first. Whether they accept it or not, they must accept it on the surface. Before Gong Qinli took Xiao Yu back to Gong's family, she had to find out what the Gong family said, lest everyone's attitude would affect Xiao Yu. Ye Wei nodded, don't worry, leave Yu to me. By the way, I don't want that person to know Yu's identity. The only thing you can do is keep it a secret for me. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1185. Chapter 1185. Nangong Luo is your godfather. Ye Wei had just agreed to Gong Qinli's request. God knows why Nangong Luo suddenly said that he wanted to come to Yes house to take his two children out to play. Yi, I will come to pick you up and pick up your two children at noon tomorrow. Remember to prepare things for them in advance. While Ye Wei and others were still outside, she suddenly received a message from Nangong Luo. That's too bad. Ye Wei patted his head and suddenly remembered that when Qingfeng pestered Nangong Luo to play last Sunday night, Nangong Luo promised to take the two children to the amusement park at noon tomorrow. Nangong Luo didn't know what was going on, but his daughter often came to see her two children regardless of asking. Yezikan is a majestic but gentle father. Playing with his children is a static teaching, which makes the children feel dependent and admired. Nangong Luo, the godfather, has a completely different personality. He can become the king of children. He can have fun even with 3 or 4-year-old children and drive them crazy. Ye Qingfeng and Yasuhiro both like Nangong Luo very much. Ye Wei thought that if Nangong Luo came to take away the two children, she would definitely have to follow them to take care of the children, and it was impossible to leave Xiao Yu at home alone. She just promised Gong Qinli not to expose Xiao Yu to Nangong Luo, otherwise she would postpone Nangong Luo's invitation to the children to play in the playground, right? Ye Wei made up his mind for the time being. However, it is not as good as God's calculation. She had forgotten about it, but the two children still remembered it clearly. Ye Qingfeng, who was thinking about playing, mentioned Nangong Luo. The child also wanted to show off in front of his beautiful little sister, My godfather said that he will take me and my sister to the amusement park tomorrow, and I will have with me then tell me, Dad, I'll take you there too. Yasuhiro agreed, yes, yes, my godfather is great. As older siblings, the two of them play very well with Xiaoyuer. They are willing to share their toys and take her to play with them. Xiaoyuer was confused by the relationship between these characters, because she knew Yeziken as her godfather, and she didn't know what the godfather Ye Qingfeng was talking about. However, seeing how happy her brothers and sisters were, of course she was willing to join them. The three children made an agreement like this. Xiaoyuer's question came up, who is brother Feng and sister Ruo's godfather? Yasuhiro explained, he's the godfather. Are you the same as my godfather? Xiaoyuer pointed at Yeziken. Ye Qingfeng said, that's my daddy. What about the godfather? This question will make people dizzy when asked. Ye Qingfeng directly dragged Ye Weiwei's phone over and unlocked it skillfully. This was all a proficiency gained from playing games. Yes, only mobile phone photo album is divided into categories. There is one specifically for storing photos of friends. Ye Qingfeng remembered it after seeing it twice. So he turned it out and showed it to Xiaoyuer, this is my godfather. Yasuhiro and Xiaoyuer both lowered their heads and leaned towards each other at the same time. The three children's heads were pressed together and they stared down at the screen for a long time. Yasuhiro pointed at the phone screen and slowly repeated her brother's words, this is my godfather. Xiaoyuer typed carefully for a long time, and praised one word without hesitation, handsome. Perhaps she doesn't understand what it means to praise someone, but she just has a vocabulary in her mind to describe it. The brothers and sisters of the Ye family were convinced and nodded. Ye Qingfeng began to teach Xiaoyuer, Yuer is my sister, and Ruruo and I's godfather is also your godfather. Applause, Xiao Qingfeng taught you well, your godfather will be so angry that he will vomit blood. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1186. Chapter 1186, he is the bad guy who bullied your mommy. Xiaoyuer memorized Nangang Luo's photo and learned from Ye Qingfeng's teachings that this man is also his godfather. Ye Weiwei looks after the child from time to time. He doesn't know if he looks at it, but he is shocked when he sees it. Isn't it Nangang Luo's photo on the bright phone screen? Xiaoyuer actually saw it. Ahem. Ye Weiwei quickly took the phone back and deliberately asked with a straight face, Feng why did you take the phone away? Ye Qingfeng answered honestly, give sister Yuer a godfather. This fate is really unstoppable when it comes. Yuer, have you seen the photo clearly? See clearly. Do you know it? It's my godfather. I really remembered it. Ye Weiwei couldn't laugh or cry. Why do children nowadays have such good memories? Gongqin Li, who had just gone to the bathroom, heard about this when she came back. She hugged her daughter over and said to her seriously, this uncle is not Yuer's godfather. Yuer has forgotten about him. Xiaoyuer tilted her head and seemed to be thinking, I've seen it before, in mommy's room. Children's words are unbridled, but children's words are the most true. Ye Weiwei looked in the direction of Gongqin Li. Gongqin Li turned away his head in embarrassment, but when he thought about it, he couldn't lose his momentum in this scene. She began to educate her daughter, how could you have seen this? Children cannot lie. But Xiaoyuer has a good memory, so she emphasized very firmly, I've seen it before, in mommy's room. Gongqin Li never expected that the feelings she had hidden for 4 years would be revealed by Xiaoyuer in one sentence, in front of her good friends, which was so embarrassing because she had pretended to be so free and easy before. Gongqin Li is not someone who just counts people casually. Even though the words are so obvious, she still wants to deny it. That must be the bad guy mommy wants to catch. Yu will forget about this person from now on. However, Xiao Yu just recognized Ye King Feng's words and retorted, Brother Feng said he was the godfather. Gong Qinli held her for it. She was really going to be defeated by her innocent daughter. Xiao Yu gets along very well with the Ye family, because Gong Qinli used to work in the police station and was often away from home, so Xiao Yu was very calm around the Ye family. Even though she is only 3 years old, she is already a person who can divorce her parents. After returning to Ye's house, Ye Wei found a reason to refuse Nangong Luo's offer to take the children out to play. Rejected the big one, and had to explain to the 2 little ones who had been waiting for a long time. Brothers and sisters Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo both looked very disappointed. Fortunately, Xiao Yu was unfamiliar with everything. She had no feelings for Nangong Luo, so naturally she didn't know what disappointment was. The next day, Gong Qinli went to deal with the matter of returning to China early in the morning. When he woke up at the normal time, Ye Wei proposed to take the children shopping out of guilt. Women go shopping to buy clothes, and children go shopping to play with toys. These are all natural. Ye Wei called Len Yangzi to take the child out with her. They picked out many toys in the mall and sent them back to Yejia, and then took their 3 children to the children's clothing store. Under the strong recommendation of the salesperson, Ye Wei and his son selected a black model at the same time. Ye Wei said, I'll take Feng to change clothes. Yangzi, please help me keep an eye on these 2 children and stop them from running around. Don't worry, young lady, the 2 young ladies are calm and well behaved, and they won't wander around. The child waited obediently, but soon he saw an acquaintance coming. Mrs. Nangong. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1187. Chapter 1187 Grandma Nangong is a good person. Len Yangzi was the first to see Mrs. Nangong. She remembered what Ye Wei had reminded her before, and quickly turned her back to shield the 2 children, hoping that Mrs. Nangong would not discover them. But Ye Zhiruo's eyes were so sharp that he turned around and found Mrs. Nangong. Grandma Nangong. Ye Zhiruo likes Mrs. Nangong because the Nangong family has a good relationship with the Ye family. Mrs. Nangong also loves the 2 children very much and often gives them things. Ye Zhiruo stood up and waved to Mrs. Nangong. The childish voice attracted Mrs. Nangong's attention. Ye Zhiruo stood in front and called for someone, but Len Yangzi couldn't stop her. Grandma Nangong. Hey, Zhiruo. As soon as Mrs. Nangong saw Ye Zhiruo, a kind smile appeared on her face. Before the little girl could come over, Mrs. Nangong had already taken the initiative to walk towards them. Len Yangzi greeted politely. Mrs. Nangong nodded lightly to her, and her eyes fell on Ye Zhiruo. Why are you alone? Where is your brother? Mommy, take brother to change clothes. Ye Zhiruo first explained his brother's whereabouts, and then explained something to Mrs. Nangong. Zhiruo is not alone. Ye Zhiruo turned around and walked to the sofa, held Xiao Yu's hand, and generously confirmed to Mrs. Nangong, Zhiruo is with my sister. This. Mrs. Nangong suddenly felt a strange feeling when she saw Xiao Yu sitting on the sofa. Whose child is this? Mrs. Nangong asked Len Yangzi. Len Yangzi lowered her eyes and said, she is the daughter of an acquaintance. I will temporarily ask our young lady to take care of her for a few days. That's it. Mrs. Nangong believed it. What's this child's name? Qian Yu, everyone calls her Yu. Len Yangzi deliberately concealed Xiao Yu's last name. Len Yangzi deliberately did not teach Xiao Yu to communicate with Mrs. Nangong, and Ye Zhiruo couldn't think of how to let the old and the young get to know each other, so Xiao Yu didn't recognize this person and would not call her. Mrs. Nangong had a strange feeling in her heart when she saw the child, but after all, he was a 3-year-old child, so she couldn't drag him away to get to the bottom of it. Mrs. Nangong was still familiar with Yezhiruo and asked amiably, "Did Zhiruo come shopping for clothes with your mommy?" Yezhiruo said honestly, "Mommy said to buy a gift for you." This is what Yezhiruo said before taking them out for shopping, and Yezhiruo took it down. Yezhiruo kept saying "you" 3 times, which made Mrs. Nangong unable to ignore the child. It seems that Zhiruo likes that little sister very much. I like you." Mrs. Nangong took 2 steps closer to Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu looked at Mrs. Nangong with confusion. When the stranger approached, Xiao Yu felt a little uncomfortable. She slid down from the sofa and took Yezhiruo's hand. "Sister Ruo." Yezhiruo stood between Xiao Yu and Mrs. Nangong and said, "Yu is not afraid. This is Grandma Nangong. Grandma is a good person." Xiao Yu shouted, "Grandma Nangong." This voice, as soft as cotton candy, was really sweet to Mrs. Nangong's heart. Inexplicably happy, my affection for this child has skyrocketed. "Hey, good boy." Len Yangzi saw the scene of loving each other, and in her heart she just prayed that Ye Wei would come back soon. Len Yangzi didn't know much about Xiao Yu's loss. She had no way of making the decision, but she met Mrs. Nangong as soon as she went out. Mrs. Nangong also took the 2 children and said she wanted to buy them something as gifts. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1188. Chapter 1188. Whose child is you? Ye Wei had just chosen a set of clothes for his son, and when he came out, he found that there was no one on the sofa. She turned around and was shocked. Who can tell her why Mrs. Nangong holds Xiao Yu's hand? Ye Wei quickly walked over with his son and said hello with a smile on his face. "Auntie, what a coincidence. Hey, you can figure it out. I just said that if I went somewhere, it turned out that I met you, Aunt. I just came here and happened to see these 2 children, so I wanted to take them to buy something." "No, no, no, I'm sorry to bother you." I deliberately asked Yezhiruo. "Zhiruo brought my sister here and said thank you to Grandma." She deliberately did not mention Xiao Yu. In fact, what she wanted most was to bring Xiao Yu over. Yezhiruo obediently said thank you to Mrs. Nangong, and Xiao Yu also said thank you. Ye Wei tried to pull the 2 children over, but Mrs. Nangong had no intention of leaving just now. Mrs. Nangong insisted on buying gifts for her 3 children. "I just told the children that I wanted to buy gifts. If adults can't do it, how can they set an example for them to do what they say they will do?" Having said this, it is not a superficial excuse. If Ye Wei continues to refuse, it will be tantamount to losing face. Ye Wei could only say a few polite words to Madame Nangong, and at the same time bought something by himself and gave it to Madame Nangong, saying it was a gift for Nangong Yu. Originally I thought it would be over, but Mrs. Nangong showed a special affection for Xiao Yu. "I really like Yu when I see her." "Whose child is this? Why have I never seen it before?" Mrs. Nangong asked Len Yangzi before and asked Ye Wei now. The questions were the same, but the meanings were different. Len Yangzi can answer her friend's child and lead them away in one sentence. The only thing Danyi wanted to answer was, "Whose child is Xiao Yu?" As long as a reputable person in S city speaks out, everyone will know something about it. Ye Wei never expected that she would run into someone from the Nangong family so quickly. Before she could even make up a story, her little boy readily betrayed her. "Sister Yu is from my godmother's family." "Your godmother?" As far as Mrs. Nangong knew, the godmothers of the Ye family's 2 children were Yuan Ran and Gongqin Li. However, Yuan Ran had not received any good news of pregnancy for several years after they had been married, so it was impossible for a child to suddenly appear. And it's impossible that Gongqin Li hasn't returned home after 4 years abroad. After Mrs. Nangong filtered it out like this, she didn't know who it was. Which godmother is Feng talking about? That is. Just when Ye Qingfeng was about to expose the relationship between Xiao Yu'er and Gong Qinli, Ye Weiwei pretended to be surprised and said, "Hey, I almost forgot when I talked about it. My friend said that at 12 o'clock it was almost too late to send Yu'er back before." Ye Wei couldn't help but pick up Xiao Yu'er and said, "Auntie, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry to send Yu'er back, otherwise her parents will come to me to beg her." Ye Yuyi's interruption dispelled Mrs. Nangong's doubts. Mrs. Nangong waved her hand and said, "It doesn't matter. Since you are in a hurry, you can take the child with you." Ye only breathed a sigh of relief. This task that Gong Qinli gave her was really difficult. She probably memorized it like this because she didn't read the almanac when she went out today. When they were in the car, Yezhiruo asked her, "Mommy, is you are leaving?" "Well, not yet. But you just told Grandma Nangong that you wanted to send you away." "I'm talking about sending them home, back to our own homes." Ye Weiwei thought it would be safe to go home, but when she arrived at the door, she realized that she really wanted to escape. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1189. Chapter 1189. Luo, Li Yulai is back. Even if people are not as good as God, she can't be so unlucky, can she? I met Mrs. Nangong when I went shopping. When I returned to my home, I saw Nangong Luo at the door. Yu'er's biological father. When Ye Weiwei saw Nangong Luo's figure wandering at his door, he almost breathed out. Ye Weiwei didn't dare to open the car door, but the children were anxious. "Mommy, open the door, Mummy, open the door." Ye Qingfeng followed the example of an adult and almost turned the door switch. Ye Weiwei quickly grabbed his hand back and said, "Don't move. If we go down now, doesn't it mean that we are bringing Xiao Yu'er's body to Nangong Luo so that he can take a closer look?" But Ye Qingfeng was also sharp-eyed. He pointed at the door and said, "Godfather, Mommy, I saw Godfather." I know, please be quiet, baby." The night breeze could not calm down. Only Yezhiruo and Xiao Yu'er sat there quietly, looking at people through the car window. Yezhiruo communicated with Xiao Yu'er in a very quiet voice, "Look at Yu'er, that's the Godfather." Xiao Yu'er nodded, yeah. Ye Weiwei didn't want to get out of the car, she wanted to turn around and leave. Unfortunately, Nangong Luo had already discovered their vehicle and was walking towards them. Ye Weiwei quickly gave Len Yangzi a few words, opened the car door and got out of the car, and locked the three children in the car. "Brother Nangong, I sent you a message yesterday saying that you don't want to come. Why are you here now? I know it's not convenient to take the two children out today, but I promised to give Xiao Qingfeng and Zhiruo a swing before, so isn't this asking someone to send materials? Don't worry, I have already told the boss about this in advance. It has been reported and approved by the boss. I'm relieved, of course I'm relieved. Except for not letting Nangong Luo see Xiao Yu'er, she would be at ease with anything else. In this case, I'll trouble brother Nangong." "No trouble, don't you just get paid and someone will do the work." Looking at the people moving in and out, Nangong Luo only needs to pay and then stand aside and wait for the results. Nangong Luo saw Ye Wei coming back, and naturally asked about the child, "Where are Xiao Qingfeng and Xiao Zhiruo? Are they still in the car?" "Here I am. I gonna go see." Nangong Luo was going that way, but Ye Weiwei quickly stopped him. "Ah, no need, I will take them out later. Let's go out and take a look first. I haven't seen them for a week." Nangong Luo didn't know her real purpose, he just wanted to see the two children. Seeing Nangong Luo reaching out to open the car door, Ye Weiwei suddenly said, "Brother Nangong, Li Yulai is back." Nangong Luo's raised hand froze in mid-air, showing an unquestionable expression, and even his tone was trembling. "What did you say?" Ye Weiwei told him word for word, "Lu Li, I returned home yesterday." Nangong Luo's expression changed. "I have arranged everything about the swing and paid for it. Just let people keep an eye on you. I'm leaving first." "Good." "Wait a minute." Seeing Nangong Luo turn around, Ye Weiwei suddenly called him and asked, "Do you still like Li Yulai?" Nangong Luo put his hands in his pockets and asked, "Isn't the answer to this question obvious?" Ye Weiwei shook his head, "I don't know, I don't want to make random guesses." Nangong Luo chuckled lightly and told her honestly, "I like her. I will like her for the rest of my life." Ye Weiwei turned his head and cast his gaze on the car window. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1190. Chapter 1190. Xiao Yuer likes Nangong Luo. Thinking of Xiao Yuer simply asking her why she didn't have her daddy to hold her at the airport that day, Ye Wei was a little shaken. Xiao Yuer and her biological father are separated by a window, but they don't know each other's existence. This feeling is really depressing. However, Nangong Luo is now completely occupied with the matter of Gongqin Li's return to China, and he doesn't know what else to explore. Only, "I'm leaving first." Ye Weiwei didn't say anything and just watched Nangong Luo leave. Len Yangzi opened the car door, and the three children were taken out one after another. Ye Qingfeng was the first to ask, "Why did the godfather leave?" Even Yezhiruo said, "I want my godfather to play with us." Looking at Xiao Yuer again, the well-behaved Ren Len Yangzi is holding her hand, with a blank look on her face, because she is not familiar with Nangong Luo and has no feelings for her. Alas, Ye Weiwei sighed deeply. If Nangong Luo was not already married and had a daughter as old as Xiao Yuer, she would have worked hard to promote a relationship between the two even against Gongqin Li's instructions. But now Gongqin Li suddenly brought back a daughter. What kind of thing is this? With Nangong Luo gone, Ye Weiwei can take the children directly home. Ye Qingfeng and Yezhiruo started to do their weekend homework, and Ye Weiwei took Xiao Yuer aside to play with her. Ye Yuyi asked tentatively, "Yuer, did you just see that uncle in the car? He is the godfather of my brothers and sisters." Xiao Yuer nodded vigorously, "I see it." Ye Weiwei asked again, "What do you think that uncle looks like?" Xiao Yuer replied without hesitation, "Handsome." The one-word comment made Ye Weiwei dumbfounded. Could this be a little nymphomaniac? Does Xiao Yuer like that uncle? Like? Why? Brother Feng, if sister likes it? Everyone has their own different feelings. Godmother wants to know if Xiao Yuer likes it or not. What does it feel like? Well, this question is too deep for you. This complex issue ends here. In the afternoon, Gongqin Li came back. Not only did Gongqin Li come back, she also brought her cousin Gongqin Yu. 4 years later, my little cousin is no longer young. He is now tall and thin, and his clothes and appearance are the type of handsome guy most popular among girls on campus. Ye Weiwei appeared in the hall holding Xiao Yuer's hand, and happened to meet two cousins, Gongqin Li and Gongqin Yu, face to face. Gongqin Li pointed at Gongqin Yu next to her, and said helplessly to Ye Wei, "This insists on following me." Gongqin Yu retorted, "Sister, how can you be so harmful to others?" But this is not the point. The point is that Gongqin Yu now stretches her neck to look at Xiao Yuer. Xiao Yuer broke free from Ye Weiwei's hand and ran towards Gongqin Li, throwing herself directly on Gongqin Li's body. "Mommy, Yuer misses you." "Oh, my baby." Gongqin Li picked up her daughter skillfully, and their cheeks rubbed against each other, looking very intimate. Gongqin Yu looked at the baby in Gongqin Li's arms eagerly. "Sister, is this your daughter?" "Well, what, She is my daughter. Gonkin Li never thought it was a shame to give birth to Xiao Yuer. She had always loved her daughter. Gonkin Yu liked this child very much when he saw his cute face. And because she is Gonkin Li's daughter, he, as an uncle, must love Wu Jiwu and want to get close to Xiao Yuer. Can you let me see her? End of this chapter.